From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. An award-winning Palestinian journalist says TikTok has permanently removed her account, fueling new concerns about who controls what users see. This and more on today's show. A Texas man in federal immigration custody was denied the right to attend the funeral of his disabled son. Maher Tarabishi was the sole caregiver of his son, Wael Tarabishi, who died last Friday at the age of 30 after months of severe medical complications. He suffered from Pompe disease, a rare inherited condition that causes muscle weakness and heart problems. Family members say Maher was the only person trained to provide Wael's round-the-clock care. He was detained during a routine immigration check-in in Dallas 3 months earlier and held at the Blue Bonnet detention facility. Relatives pleaded for Maher's temporary release so he could care for his son or at least say goodbye. Those requests were denied despite Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, policy allowing escorted visits for critically ill family members. Wael's condition worsened after his father's detention. He was hospitalized several times and spent his final month in intensive care at the Methodist Mansfield Medical Center in Mansfield, Texas. The family's attorney said the decision reflects a tragic lack of compassion. The Department of Homeland Security says Maher now faces deportation to Jordan. A federal judge has halted the arrest and detention of lawfully resettled refugees in Minnesota. The move comes after reports that more than 100 people were detained in a Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, operation. District Judge John Tunheim issued the order temporarily blocking the Trump administration from holding refugees. The court also ordered the immediate release of all detained refugees in Minnesota and those transferred to Texas within 5 days. The arrests were linked to Operation Paris, a DHS initiative to re-vet approximately 5,600 refugees nationwide who have not yet received permanent residency. Some detainees were reportedly flown to Texas, questioned, and then released without help returning home. One plaintiff, identified as D. Doe, said he was arrested by plainclothes officers after being lured outside his home. Advocacy groups call the detentions unprecedented. Judge Tunheim said the risk of irreparable harm justified immediate relief, citing trauma and fear among those detained. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib sharply criticized the University of Michigan for its response to Free-Palestine protests held in freezing temperatures this week, calling the university's actions ridiculous. The Detroit Democrat accused campus leaders of intimidating students and chilling free speech at a public institution. Speaking outside the school's Ruthven building in Ann Arbor, Tlaib said civil rights do not disappear at the campus gates. More than 50 students and community members joined the protest, holding signs reading "Stop Arming Israel" and warning of surveillance. Speakers accused the university of using investigations and disciplinary actions to suppress pro-Palestine organizing. Student leaders say protesters are fed up with what they call the criminalization of dissent. Civil rights attorney Amir Meklid has urged the university to drop disciplinary cases tied to a 2024 encampment. University officials deny targeting students and say disciplinary process follow due process and privacy laws. Tlaib also raised concerns about incoming President Ken Sivert, citing his past remarks on Free Palestine protests and warning of a troubling future for student expression. Award-winning Palestinian journalist and filmmaker Bizan Auda says TikTok has permanently removed her account. She has been cut off from a platform she built over 4 years with 1.4 million followers. In a video posted to other social media, the 28-year-old said she expected limits but not a full ban. The move came days after new American investors formally took control of TikTok. Among them is Oracle CEO Larry Ellison, who now holds both a 15% stake in TikTok and the primary responsibility for data security and algorithm oversight. In addition to being a major donor to Republican causes, Ellison describes himself as having a deep emotional connection to the State of Israel and has been listed as the largest private donor to the Israeli military causes. Ellison is also a close personal friend of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Auda gained a global attention for daily video diaries from Gaza, documenting Israel's displacement of Palestinians, attacks on hospitals, destruction of neighborhoods, and the killing of journalists. Each video opened with her line, "It's Bisan from Gaza, and I'm still alive." A documentary built around that phrase later won multiple international awards, including an Emmy in 2024. Auda linked her ban to what she called the growing censorship of Palestinian voices online. She pointed to comments by Israeli and US officials describing social media as a key battlefield in shaping public opinion. TikTok's owners deny censorship, blaming technical issues. California officials have opened an inquiry as user deletions surge. Many migrate to alternative platforms. 3 Palestinians were killed and at least 5 others wounded by Israeli soldiers in Gaza in violation of the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire announced on October 10th. Israeli soldiers in military vehicles shot dead 2 Palestinians after opening fire on eastern parts of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. One man was killed near the Sheikh Nasser area, close to the so-called Yellow Line, which marks Israeli military deployment zones under the ceasefire deal. Witnesses reported heavy gunfire from Israeli positions during the incident. Israeli fire killed another Palestinian in a separate area of Khan Yunis, outside the designated military zone, according to doctors at Nasser Hospital. Israeli forces also continued demolishing residential buildings north of Rafah, with explosions and thick smoke seen rising. Since the ceasefire was announced in early October, Israeli soldiers have killed nearly 500 Palestinians, according to medical officials, breaching the agreement more than 1,000 times. The International Committee of the Red Cross, or ICRC, has returned the bodies of 15 Palestinian detainees who were held by Israel to Gaza. The bodies were transported to Shifa Hospital under ICRC supervision and formally handed over to local authorities. These are the first images from Gaza City where the convoy arrived at Shifa Hospital. ICRC officials say the transfer followed established humanitarian procedures and that their teams coordinated closely with local authorities during the transfer. Red Cross personnel remained on site throughout the process to oversee arrangements. Hospital officials are now preparing for identification and burial. Outside the hospital, families gathered as ambulances stood by. Hospital authorities say the handover is complete and arrangements are underway. They add that burial procedures will follow after identification. Hearings have concluded at the International Court of Justice in the Rohingya genocide case. Details coming up next.
My name is Layla. I was an average kid until Zula Inc. broke into my life because my dad discovered time travel. After that, everything changed.
You're the new girl Layla, right?
Whoa! What if I don't fit in?
Abdullah!
Do I hear my name? Welcome to Vancouver, cuz.
Whoa!
You 4 have been specially chosen to take our project into the next generation.
You can time travel?
Abdullah! No! Abdullah! Where?
Do you really think I don't know why we had to leave Seattle, Mama?
Now here, keep these close. These should never leave your wrist.
This virtual reality game is crazy! You can even eat! This is reality, buddy! We zoomed through a wormhole!
Oh no, my Go Watch! It's gone!
What does this do?
That's Al-Khwarizmi! You know, the father of mathematics! It's because of him we have algorithms.
I will not stop until your legacy, everyone's legacy, lies in ruins! Of course it was you! You little rascals ruined everything!
Your fate will be great. Just don't give up.
Time Hoppers.
Welcome back. Pakistan has made it clear that joining a peace initiative announced by President Donald Trump does not signal any move toward recognizing Israel or joining the Abraham Accords. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Tahir Andrabi, the Pakistan's participation in the Board of Peace is focused solely on Gaza. He said the goal is to help sustain the ceasefire, support reconstruction, and work towards a just and lasting peace based on Palestinian self-determination. Andrabi stressed the move does not reflect any shift in Pakistan's foreign policy and said engagement with the board is unrelated to joining any alliance or any international stabilization force for Gaza. He added that Pakistan's role should be seen as a part of a broader effort by 8 Muslim-majority countries to promote peace and a durable solution to the Palestinian issue. Trump unveiled the Board of Peace last week at the World Economic Forum, naming 26 founding member states. Canadian Muslims marked the 9th anniversary of the Quebec City Mosque massacre on Thursday. They honored the 6 men who were murdered and renewed calls to confront Islamophobia, warning that hard-won progress is fading. The January 29, 2017 shooting at the Quebec Islamic Cultural Center remains the deadliest attack on a house of worship in Canadian history. The gunman, Alexander Bessonnet, opened fire during evening prayers, shattering Quebec City's close-knit Muslim community and prompting nationwide vigils and condemnation. Community leaders say the trauma still shapes daily life. Stephen Brown, head of the National Council of Canadian Muslims, said the anniversary is a reminder that Islamophobia in Canada is not benign. After the attack, Canada designated January 29 as a National Day of Remembrance and Action Against Islamophobia. But Brown said the early push to heal and build bridges has stalled. Muslim leaders say remembrance must be matched with sustained action to counter hate, protect communities, and prevent future violence. Prime Minister Mark Carney said the horror of that day remains a solemn reminder of the pervasiveness of Islamophobia and the devastating consequences of hatred. Hearings have concluded at the International Court of Justice in the Rohingya genocide case. The case was brought against Burma by Gambia, an African nation acting on behalf of the wider international community. Over 3 weeks, Gambia argued that Burma's military carried out atrocities against the Rohingya minority in 2016 and 2017 in violation of the Genocide Convention. Lawyers pointed to mass killing, sexual violence, attacks on children, and the widespread burning of villages as evidence of intent to destroy the Rohingya because of their ethnic and religious identity. Judges also heard testimony in closed sessions from Rohingya survivors from villages in western Rakhine State. They described killings, rape, and families being forced into burning homes, accounts documented by the United Nations and human rights groups. A final judgment is not expected for several months, but the hearings mark a major step in the Rohingyas' long pursuit of justice. A senior UN refugee official is urging stronger self-reliance and livelihood programs for Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh as the humanitarian aid continues to decline. The call came during a meeting between Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus and the new country representative of the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, Ivo Friesen. The talks focused on conditions in the Rohingya camps in Bangladesh's city of Cox's Bazar, where funding shortages are straining basic services. Friesen warned aid cuts are limiting support and said refugees need more opportunities to become self-reliant. Yunus said the crisis is fading from global attention and stressed repatriation to Myanmar's Rakhine state remains the only lasting solution. Bangladesh has hosted more than 1.3 million Rohingya since 2017. The World Food Programme has already reduced rations and warns that without new funding, food assistance could face major disruptions starting in April. Africa is set to dominate global high-impact oil and gas exploration in 2026, accounting for about 40% of planned wells worldwide. According to a report published by oilprice.com, the growth is driven by ultra-deepwater drilling along the Atlantic margin. Energy firms are moving away from mature basins with declining returns. Instead, they are focusing on fewer but high-risk and higher rewards prospects in frontier regions. North America's exploration outlook remains limited, highlighting a broader global shift in strategy. Research cited in the report from Rystad Energy shows strong momentum. In 2025, the success rate for high-impact wildcat wells rose to 38%, up from 23% the year before. Total discovered volumes climbed 53% to about 2.3 billion barrels of oil equivalent. In 2026, 42 high-impact wells are planned globally. Most will target ultra-deepwater and frontier areas, with Africa playing a central role, particularly in southern Africa's Orange Basin and West Africa's Gulf of Guinea. Iran has warned it would immediately strike U.S. military bases and aircraft carriers if it comes under attack. Iran's military spokesperson Brigadier General Mohammad Akraminia said American military assets across the Gulf region are within range of Iran's medium-range missiles. The warning came after President Donald Trump said the time was running out for Tehran to agree to a nuclear deal. The European Union also designated Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization. The United Nations Secretary General urged restraint, calling for renewed nuclear talks to prevent a crisis with devastating regional consequences. Regional diplomacy is intensifying. Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani spoke with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian about easing tensions and restoring stability. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Turkey on Friday to discuss regional issues. Turkey has offered to help mediate between Iran and the US. At the same time, Iran says it may label the armed forces of EU countries as terrorists in response to the bloc's move against the Revolutionary Guards. Separately, the United States accused Iranian authorities of exploiting internet restrictions for profit. The State Department said many Iranians are forced to pay high costs for limited access through virtual private networks. Iran cites security as the reason for the measures. Iran says it remains open to diplomacy, but only if threats and military pressures are lifted. Scientists have developed a device that can capture carbon dioxide from exhaust gases and convert it into a useful material in one step. The system works with real-world emissions, not purified carbon dioxide. That includes exhausts from furnaces, fireplaces, and industrial plants, as well as carbon dioxide levels found in normal air. The key is a newly designed electrode which captures carbon dioxide and converts it directly into formic acid, a chemical widely used in energy systems and manufacturing. Unlike earlier technologies, the device does not need carbon dioxide to be separated or concentrated first, making it far more practical for industrial use. Researchers say combining carbon capture and conversion into a single device could make carbon reuse cheaper and easier, turn harmful emissions into valuable resources, and support real-world climate solutions. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.